Good evening, this is Eswatini TV News at 8, read to you by myself, Notile Sitole, alongside Namakabizo Ngambule. First up, let's have a look at our top stories. The construction of a 31 million Emalangeni health facility, which will assist TB and HIV patients, will commence soon. 102 people committed suicide in Eswatini since the beginning of the year. Royal Leopards and Young Buffaloes are ready to do battle against Zambian opposition in the CAF Champions League tomorrow. The news. The Minister for Health, Lizinkosi, has commended the commencement of a construction of a 31 million Emalangeni clinic by the AHF AIDS Healthcare Foundation in Manzini. The clinic will specialize in HIV and TB prevention and care.
The Minister of Health, Lizinkosi, has commissioned the commencement of a 31 million Emalangeni clinic by the AHF AIDS Healthcare Foundation in Manzini, which will specialize on HIV and TB prevention and care. The AHF Foundation is determined to reduce the high number of new HIV infections in Eswatini, as there were 4,500 new HIV cases in 2018 and 2,300 AIDS-related deaths in the same year. The Minister of Health says to date, the AHF provides direct care to over 31,000 people living with HIV in the country.
Having reached the 95-95-95 targets, this project rightly aligns with the need to ensure that people living with HIV are retained in care, as this ultimately contributes to the reduction of new infections. This, ladies and gentlemen, remains one of the government's commitment and priority in the fight against HIV and AIDS. May I take this opportunity to commend and applaud the Manzini City Council for opening their doors to a partnership with AHF. Thank you to the city leaders for providing this prime real estate for this project to happen. It is my desire, therefore, that other municipalities can take a leap from such a phenomenal partnership and work towards improving access to healthcare services in other areas and regions of the kingdom. I would be failing in my duties if I do not emphasize and re-emphasize government's commitment to ensuring that quality health and medical care services are provided for all.
The minister, in an excavator, then launched the commencement of the construction of the clinic and urged all stakeholders to make this project a success. It is expected to be complete by July 2022. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCB, Manzini.
During a press briefing at the Cabinet offices on Thursday, the Minister for Health, Lizinkosi, announced that the ministry has introduced a WhatsApp number where Emaswati who have questions regarding COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccination can send their questions to. The number is 79436585.
The World Health Organization in July this year issued a statement on how COVID-19 misinformation is a major factor in driving the pandemic around the world. Speaking during a press briefing held at Cabinet offices on Thursday, the Minister of Health, Lizinkosi, announced the WhatsApp number for Emaswati who might have questions or queries about COVID-19 and the vaccines as well. The Minister says healthcare workers are prepared to answer any questions about the pandemic.
I'd like to further urge the nation to make use of the Ministry of Health's WhatsApp helpline, and the number is 79436585, and I will repeat 79436585 for all questions related to COVID-19 and the vaccination programs.
The minister also emphasized on consuming fake news about the virus. She says authentic information about the pandemic comes from the Minister of Health and the World Health Organization. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samkel Swekoza with Fumiko Sinsinisa Babanem.
Eswatini recorded 144 suicide cases last year compared to 102 cases so far this year. This shocking statistic was set by clinical psychologist at the National Psychiatric Referral Hospital, Dr. Pepile Sugati, during the commemoration of the World Suicide Prevention Day.
Here on the 10th of September, countries under the World Health Organization commemorate World Suicide Prevention Day. In celebrations of this day, the National Psychiatric Referral Hospital shared information with their patients about suicide. Clinical psychologist at the hospital, Dr. Pepile Sugati, says last year Eswatini recorded about 144 suicide cases and 102 this year.
When trying to analyze the 2020 statistics, there were 107 males and there were 27 females. Then when coming to 2021, currently we have got 74 males who have completed, who have died because of suicide, and we have got 28 females. Then when coming to the attempted suicide, in 2020, we had 28 females that we admitted due to who have been suicidal, who have attempted suicide, and we had 16 males. In total, we had 44. Then in coming to 2021, we had 29 females and 10 males, and then in total currently we've got 39 people have attempted suicide.
Dr. Sugati then unpacked suicide contributing factors.
We've noted is one of the risk factors is when someone has attempted suicide before, that's a risk factor that person might eventually end up killing himself or herself by suicide. The other risk factor that we've noted is the changes in life, the life stressors, which it stems down into depression. So depression, there are a lot of life stressors that are happening, especially now during COVID-19, where people have lost their jobs due to retrenchment and their financial problems. When coming to the teenagers, it's the relationship problems.
This year's theme is creating hope through action, which reflects to the need to collective action to address this public health issue. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samgal Suekoza with Fumiko Sinsinisa Manzini.
Wetland conservation can help in preserving endangered species. That's according to Luyengweni Chiefdom Chief Prince Lembelele during the launch of Luyengweni Wetland Management Plan.
On Friday, Luyengweni community presented a wetland management plan to the Eswatini National Trust Commission ENTC. Luyengweni Chiefdom leader Prince Lembelele applauded ENTC for helping them conserve 2 wetlands, which has contributed to preserving some of the country's endangered species.
Kunalo kwemthanyelo bese ngokumthanyelo bese sithola lethu letinzabeni kodwa ngimangele mina mangubona lapha kana umthanyelo la kulendzawo lena umila ube ngaka bese kusilahlekele kunaleti nyoni lebekade sesingasathathi nje inzaki sasigcina lapha nje kunamathetela amakhulu lebekakona lapha emvimbeko kodwa namuhla ngeke usalibona. Kukhona nathi inyoni lekuthiwa ngumasakabuli lekangwane sakha ngato le nyoni lesiyigcoka la inhloko bese kungasayibona boyibona ngathi khathi tabo December kepha nyalo soyibona njalo lapha.
Senior ecologist at ENTC Sandile Gomez says the main objective of the wetland conservation is to have these communities make a living out of it.
Silivela kangwane sithi asibambisane nale mitamo lendiwa ngemavela 175 umhlaba wonke latibophelele ekutheneni onke indzawo lengematete lekhona lapho eveni kufanele kwekuthi ivikelwe, kufanele kwekuthi yongiwe, kufanele kwekuthi sisenda kutiphilisa siyisebenzise ngendlela lekhonsako ngobe lawa madete lawa asilethela tintfo letiningi asiniketa kwekuthi sikhone kutiphilisa sithole kudla.
Through the SNPAR Strengthening Protected Area System project, ENC was able to conserve 13 wetlands under the Ngwembisi cluster. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samgal Suekoza with Sinsinisa Luyengo.
The COVID-19 pandemic was an eye-opener to the education sector and helped identify loopholes like the introduction of online learning amongst other initiatives. Eswatini joined the rest of the world in commemorating the World Literacy Day at Ngwane Park High School.
Annually on the 8th of September, the world commemorates the Literacy Day. This year's Literacy Day theme is Literacy for a Human-Centered Recovery, Narrowing the Digital Divide. The commemoration was held at Ngwane Park High courtesy of Macmillan Eswatini. The International Literacy Day 2021 will focus on literacy teaching and learning in the COVID-19 crisis and beyond, with a focus on the role of educators and changing teaching practices with the likes of online learning. The Siswati Language Senior Inspector in the Ministry of Education, Kaliwe Mohammed, says in the Eswatini Constitution only 2 languages are official, being Siswati and English. Therefore, it is expected that in any government offices and institutions that provide services, both languages are expected.
Lapho ngifuna lusito khona angiyithola lemibhalo ibhalwe ngani ngatotota imbili.
She says in hospitals, home affairs offices, churches, and in the judiciary, no language must be dominant over the other. She says learners must embrace the Siswati language as well. The acting English Senior Inspector in the Ministry, Eric Dlamini, says in the era of COVID-19, learners in rural areas and those in urban areas must be equal also. There should not be a gap of one over the other.
And good bandwidth for reliable internet access to everyone, especially the less privileged communities of our society. These can further be made realistic through subsidized ICT technologies in schools.
The Macmillan Eswatini Managing Director Bongani Motsa says the COVID-19 has wreaked havoc economically, globally, and many countries still have to recover from it. He emphasized one of the equal use of gadgets for all, since many documents are now on soft copy formats. The learners then showed understanding of the importance of Literacy Day, and this year's theme, as their poems they recited, were based on the importance of being literate in connection to the use of gadgets. For Eswatini TV News, I am Kian Msibi, Ngwane Park.
There is a need to financially support the informal sector, especially those who lost their source of income due to the outbreak of COVID-19. This was said by the communications officer of the Eswatini Action Group Against Abuse when they were distributing materials to SMEs at Sikombeni in trying to help them get back on their feet.
When the COVID-19 pandemic started last year, many SMEs were left with no businesses and no means of survival many haven't been able to recover from. SWACA has stepped into that need and provided new business material for about 250 women at Sikombeni area and Ngomia Hlaba constituency in the Manzini region, with farming inputs, salon, and many more businesses to help them get back on their feet through assistance from their partner OSISA. SWACA's communications officer Sakele Dlamini says many couldn't have means of survival and income due to COVID-19. Some even lost their spouses.
Because we have realized that since COVID, a lot of people were affected due to either losing their jobs, having to stay at home, and these were the people in the communities that were supporting the businesses that were happening at community level. As a result, people have had to spend their profits first and then their earnings, and they could no longer get back to business. Some of the things that we have found out is that some of these women have also lost their husbands and partners who are helping them in terms of supporting their families. So through the support and funding from OSISA, we are helping women rebuild by providing materials for them to get back to their businesses.
Daisy Dlamini, the Ngomia Hlaba constituency headman, says they are grateful to SWACA for the donation. They really did not know where to go and who to talk to because they lost their only means of income and surviving.
Camera ifutha sikhomisa injabulo labanayo babonga abaqedzi labanye vele bese balahlile lithemba labanye bebangasavuthi nasediko bathi namhla bayasho lokuthi bawucalela phasi bayohlanyela siyakholwa lokuthi naNkulunkulu akhona utabasita buchume lenhlanyelo labayithola bonamhla.
There is need for more assistance to many who suffered a huge blow due to COVID-19. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCB, visuals provided by SWACA.
And now we'll have an ad break and the news will be back shortly.
Hallelujah.
Kuyintokoto ukuthi sikulethele umcimbi wokusukunyiswa kwesikhwama se-Reconstruction Fund. Lesibusiswe silo inkosi Mswati wesithathu.
Hallelujah.
Hlangana nathi emsakatweni uDithombe ngeSonto sokushaya insimbi yesibili ntambama.
Lesikhwama lesitobusiswa namuhla sesivele sibusisiwe bekune.
I therefore declare that the reconstruction fund has been blessed. Emasiko nemihambo angithi thina maSwati. Imbali ilicapho lethu thina maSwati.
Ngiyakuthata imbali yonke ukuthi sichubeke sitiphathe kahle inhlonipho ihlala ihamba embili njengoba emakhosi ethu ahlala asitshela nekuthi nebetempilo badlale basitshela onke amalanga ukuthi sichubeke sigeze itandla ngaso sonke isikhathi sichubeke sivule tikhala emikhathisini kwethu sitinakekele kwananathi utithanze nje ungisisi uhlale uclean utithanze wena kuqala.
Hlangela nathi emsakatweni weDithombe Eswatini TV nasikulethela umkhosi wemhlanga wa 2021 nasekushaya insimbi yokucala emini ngemgcibelo.
Season 3 of Eswatini MTN Spotlight will be on your screens every Sunday at 5 p.m. We have made changes in our usual lineup. To all lovers of choral music, Emakhala Khala is now moving to Saturday at 4 p.m. For current affairs and developmental issues, Mbili Ganye Ganye is moving to 6 p.m.
Siyavuma,
agenda discussion program is moving to Saturday at 4:30 p.m. If you have missed an episode of MTN Spotlight on Sunday, make sure you catch on our repeat slot every Mondays at 11:30 a.m. Catch all this only on your number one channel, Eswatini TV.
Welcome back. Let's have a look at our financial markets.
Standard Bank. It can be.
A very good evening once again. You are still watching Eswatini TV. Let's have a look at our sports news. Zaska United head coach Mumamba Numba says in the few days he has been in Eswatini, he has been able to identify Royal Leopard's strengths and weaknesses ahead of their CAF Champions League first leg encounter tomorrow at the Mavuso Sports Centre.
Ahead of their CAF Champions League encounter, both Zesco United from Zambia and M10 Premier League champions Red Leopards coaches got a chance to face the media and highlight how their preparations for the game are going so far. Zesco United coach Mumba Numba says he has been in touch with his friends who live in the country in the past few days, who gave him tips about what type of team is Red Leopard.
Yeah, firstly, I think having a bit of insight about our opponents, I think I have a lot of friends that stays here. I have some Zambian coaches who have given us a bit of insight on how our opponents play. So it is not something that is strange. I think I was here at 2020 when I was assistant coach at the national team when we beat Eswatini here. So I know the type of football that Eswatini plays.
For Edwin Matsebula, heading to the game, they'll be ensuring that they don't concede a goal on home soil.
We have to play an attacking-minded game, though we have to be very careful not to concede a goal, because if the Zambians get the away goal, then they'll be in an advantage for the second leg. Ours is to make sure that they don't concede, but have to win the game at home.
The game will kick off at 3 p.m. Mafuso Sports Center in Manzini. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonara, Manzini.
Young Buffaloes head coach Sabelo Mnisi says they will go for an early strike when they do battle with Red Arrows in the first leg of their Champions League tie away in Zambia tomorrow.
Young Buffaloes landed safely in Zambia ahead of their CAF Confederations Cup encounter against Red Arrows. Coach Sabelo Mnisi says the team will be prioritizing to get more away goals while in Zambia to ensure that they do not face challenges in their second round on home soil. Hlanhla, who is the team captain, says preparations have been quite good and they have determination that they will get good results.
Buffalo phela sesimele live yaseSwatini, so sitatmisa ngalokukhulu ukudikhanda vele sisibambe sibe na 3 points masojajabule kangwane sibele kahle bafike bajabulile.
The game will be played this Saturday from 3 p.m. local time. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, pictures sourced from the team in Zambia.
That's all for now. Before we conclude, let's have a look at our top stories. The construction of a 31 million Emalangeni health facility, which will assist TB and HIV patients, will commence soon. 102 people committed suicide in Eswatini since the beginning of the year. Royal Leopards and Young Buffaloes are ready to do battle against Zambian opposition in the CAF Champions League tomorrow. And that brings us to the end of our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update from myself and the team here at Eswatini TV. Thanks for tuning in. Good night.